Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear students, this is lecture 12. In this lecture we are going to talk about two types of consonants in English, namely fricatives and affricates. So what are fricatives? Fricatives are the sounds produced with the air escaping through a narrow passage, making a hissing sound or a friction sound. Fricatives are continuous sounds, unlike plosives. So what do we mean by continuous sounds? Continuous sounds are the sounds produced with the sound going on as far as we have air in our lungs. Unlike obstruents, just like plosives, in which the air passage is stopped somewhere at a certain point. So with continuous sounds, the sound goes on or is being produced as far as we have air in our lungs. But with plosives or obstruent sounds, the air is stopped. So if we take an example, the fricative sound f, we can take a deep breath and pronounce f. We are going to pronounce it as long as we have air in our lungs. I'm going to try now. So you can feel that the sound is going on and the air passage is flowing without being stopped. The sound stops when the air is finished. Okay? While with the plosive, for example, p, we don't have any continuation of the sound. We have a blockage. Okay? So this is the difference between stops and fricatives. Okay? In fricatives, how do we pronounce them? We have two articulators. These two articulators come in partial contact. Sorry. In plosives, if we have noticed, we have two articulators coming in complete contact. That's why the air is stopped. While in a fricative sound, we have two articulators coming so close to each other, making a contact, but that contact is not a complete one. It's a partial one. So whenever we have a partial contact between the articulators, we still have a narrow passage for the air to go out, but with friction. So for example, if we take the sound f, in f, the lower lip is raised to be in contact with the upper front teeth. Okay? And this contact between the lower lip and the upper front teeth is not a complete one. And we can feel that when we push the air out, the air goes on. It is not stopped. This is now the narrow opening here is going to be between the lower lip and the upper front teeth. Okay? That's why this is called a labiodental fricative. While in affricates, which is the second type of consonants I'm going to talk about this lecture, is called a complex, or they are called complex consonants. Why do we call them complex consonants? Because they begin like a plosive, like a stop sound, and end like a fricative. Just like the sound, the first and the last sound in the word church. So the sound ch is a complex consonant, Why? Because it starts like a T sound, which is a plosive, and ends like a sh sound, which is a fricative sound. So in this case, how do we pronounce the affricate sound? Now we have two articulators which are in complete contact first to form and to pronounce the stop sound. Then a partial contact is made to produce the friction sound. So we have two stages here. The first one requires a complete closure, and the second one requires a partial closure. So if we take the sound che, for example, okay, the sound che, here we need to make what? To make a blockage, a blockage or a complete closure for the te sound first, which requires a complete closure. Okay? Then what do we have? We have the sound sh. We have the sound sh. And this sound, as we said, is a fricative sound, which requires what? Requires a partial closure. Requires a partial closure. So both are needed. The complete closure first to make the te, then the partial closure to make the friction of sh sound. Now, do we consider each sequence of a stop like te and a fricative like sh an affricate? No. Of course no. To make a sequence of stop plus fricative and affricate, they should be produced in the same position, or we call them homorganic. Homorganic means the sounds are produced in the same place. So te and sh in the affricate ch are both made when the tongue is raised to be in contact with the palate, okay, or with the alveolar ridge. So te is a stop sound, it's fricative, and te is a stop sound, sh is a fricative sound. The result is an affricate sound, like ch, like in the word ch. Both sounds are produced when there is a contact between the tongue and the alveolar ridge or the ridge. Okay. Alveolar ridge. Okay. Though the sound sh is somehow back inside the mouth, it's almost palatal, so there is a contact between the tongue and the roof of the mouth. The same is true for j, which starts like a stop, the stop sound de, and end like the fricative sound j. The result is j, as in the word jam. Both sounds are produced with the contact between the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Okay, so they are homorganic. Do we consider then the sequence of ke, which is a stop sound, and fe, which is a fricative sound, an affricate? Can we make ke and fe an affricate in the word breakfast, for example? Breakfast. Okay. Now, to answer this example, we need to look at the condition. We have a condition for making a sequence of te, a sequence of a stop plus fricative, an affricate. That condition is the two sounds should be homorganic, that is, they are pronounced in the same place. Let us check if the breakfast, okay, so in the word breakfast we have ke, that is a stop sound, and fa, that is a fricative sound. So we have this sequence of stop plus fricative. Can we make an affricate out of this? No. Why? Because they are not pronounced in the same position. The two sounds, ke and fa, are not homorganic. Ke is a velar sound, while fa is a labiodental sound. So in this case, we cannot make these two sounds an affricate. Why? Simply because they are not homorganic. Now the question is, are the sounds che and je to be considered as one or two phonemes? This is one of the problems of phonemic analysis. Some scholars consider them one phoneme, and the other consider them as being a combination of two phonemes. Maybe we will talk about this in later sections and chapters. Now, fricatives are found to be in pairs. One is voiced and the other is voiceless, except for the sound ha. If we have a look at your textbook, page 40, there is a figure that shows the fricatives we have in English. I don't know, my laptop is hanging very often today. Okay, I'll try to refresh it. Still waiting. Anyway, maybe later on. Now, we have a basic distinction between Fortis and Linus, or Linus fricatives. Fricatives are classified into Fortis fricatives and Linus fricatives. What is the difference? Actually, simply Fortis are voiceless fricatives and Linus are voiced fricatives. As we said, we have always pairs. Now it's working. Look, the labiodental fa is voiceless, and we have another labiodental fricative, which is va, which is voiced. So this pair of voiceless, voiced fricative. Dental th, which is a voiceless fricative, the is a voiced fricative. Se and ze. Se is voiceless, ze is voiced. Sh is voiceless, je is voiced. So all of these are in pairs, except for the ha sound. We don't have a voiced ha, glottal variant. We have only the voiceless glottal ha, the voiceless glottal fricative ha. Okay, for the other, we always deal with them in pairs. So these, or this line, includes Fortis fricatives, while this one includes voiced or Linus fricatives, the voiced fricatives. Okay. Now, Fortis or voiceless are pronounced with greater force, and their friction noise is louder compared to Linus, which are often voiced. Sometimes they are devoiced, but most of the time they are voiced. Fortis fricatives shorten the preceding vowel, while Linus, no, they cause a lengthening in the preceding vowel. So with eyes with se, eyes with ze. Which one of these preceding vowels is going to be shorter? Actually, the one that is followed by the Fortis se, while the Linus ze causes what? Causes a lengthening in the preceding vowel I. So I that is followed by se is going to be shorter than usual, and the I followed by z, which is a voiced sound, is going to be longer than usual. Thank you very much, my students. We are going, inshallah, to meet and discuss all these points in our Google Meet. Thanks a lot.